LGBT Liberation and the New World. An article written by Alain Tello Robledo from the neutral stance of transcendental and universal knowledge that illuminates the mind and separates it from all interpretation. Sexuality is the most powerful hormonal mechanism that governs the lives of animals and human beings alike to ensure the perpetuation of the species. The human mind is subject to the imperatives of hormonal activation, sex, hunger, thirst, etc., causing it to suffer multiple forms of repression and discrimination when sexual needs and orientations differ from those of the social majority. The concept of good and evil is deeply ingrained in people's inherited DNA and their subconscious minds from a very young age. Beliefs and religions have worked to convince people that sexuality is only natural between a man and a woman, heterosexuals, and that homosexuality or other sexual orientations are unnatural and perverse. Once again, the ignorance of the masses, of the majority, follows the doctrines that those in power use to keep people divided. Open your mind. Heterosexual couples love their spouses or partners and have sex differently than LGBT plus couples. LGBT plus couples, also known as alternative couples, love their spouses or partners and have sex differently than heterosexual couples. These two groups, with different sexual orientations, have one thing in common: love. Regardless of a person's sexual orientation, sexuality is not what forms and binds couples or individuals together. It is a basic mechanism rooted in the primal instincts of procreation and pleasure. Sexual attraction is the result of primitive hormones and has no connection to the social constructs invented by humans, such as marriage, common law relationships, heterosexuality, the LGBT plus community, and so on. The evolution of human consciousness calls for human beings to move away from primitive instincts, setting us apart from animals that live or die according to the rhythm of nature. Periods of food abundance equals overpopulation. Periods of food scarcity equals reduction in the population of the affected species. I will not discuss the prey-predator imbalance caused by people's unconscious actions, which affect the life and reproductive cycles of our dear animal friends. It is no coincidence that the human population is aging due to a birth rate far lower than the death rate. The human species has overpopulated the planet, and as life expectancy has skyrocketed in recent decades, the vital balance of the planet has been disrupted. It is no coincidence that infertility in both men and women is constantly on the rise. It is no coincidence that many young adults do not wish to have children for a multitude of reasons. The primitive mechanism of procreation is losing its manipulative power in the face of a new consciousness. Only sexual pleasure remains as a form of entertainment and an act of intimacy between couples. Thus, as people become increasingly liberated from the duty to procreate, they can flourish according to their innate sexual sensibilities. True heterosexual and LGBT plus couples share the same mysterious and inexplicable commonality. People are united as soulmates who share a deep spiritual, emotional, and intellectual connection, often perceived as perfect compatibility for a shared destiny. Unfortunately, our materialistic societies are disconnected from the transcendental reality of the present, from the alarming future of life on Earth for new generations, from essences, consciousnesses, and from existential meaning. People live in a state of confusion and constantly seek distractions to soothe their anxious and fearful minds. This existence without the transcendental purpose causes so many separations and divorces among couples who were truly united and who will never know what destiny had in store for them, peace and harmony in the fulfillment of a life's mission. As always, the greatest victims of adults' selfish unconsciousness are children. A few words on promiscuity, although that is not the focus of this article. The belief that promiscuity is more prevalent among the LGBT+ community is widespread. But it is important to recognize that sex addictions, which make promiscuity a daily reality for millions of people worldwide, affect all sexual orientations, both heterosexual and LGBT+ individuals. The promiscuity of heterosexual people takes place behind closed doors, and deception is its shield. The number of brothels and red light districts around the world confirms that the number of so-called heterosexuals with loose morals is surely greater than the LGBT+ minority. Religions are evolving. In the past, they caused so much harm to the LGBT+ community. But progressive religious movements, which accept LGBT+ people and sometimes bless same-sex unions, are emerging. Vows of chastity are unnatural and force some members of the clergy to suppress their primal instincts, leading to unwanted sex scandals. Unfortunately, not all religions are yet on the path to understanding that it is time for consciousnesses to evolve. Heterosexuality is considered natural because procreation can only occur between a man and a woman. However, nowadays, more and more heterosexual couples are infertile or do not wish to have children. Love and tenderness is the common thread among all beings on the planet, and sexual practices are choices to be respected as long as they do not harm anyone, and certainly not oneself. Consciousnesses seek to evolve in step with the evolution of the universe, but the rigidity of collective ignorance hinders this evolution. The World Health Organization removed homosexuality from its list of mental disorders in 1990. This means that before 1990, homosexuality was considered a disease, that past beliefs were mistaken, and that millions of victims suffered as a result of this ignorance being put into practice. Today, discrimination and injustices still persist in many countries around the world. In more than 70 countries, same-sex relationships are still severely criminalized. The exclusionary ideologies of conservative political and social movements, which defend the traditional family model, man, woman, and oppose the recognition of the rights of the LGBT+ community, have given rise to the anti-LGBT+ sentiment, which encompasses homophobia, rejection or hatred of gay people, transphobia, rejection of transgender people, and biphobia, rejection of bisexual people. This situation causes deep divisions within our societies and families. There are numerous instances of violence and murders of LGBT+ people around the world. No ideology or belief justifies harming someone, much less killing them. At the same time, sexual scandals and crimes, committed by men and women who adhere to the traditional heterosexual family model, are on the rise around the world. Where do good and evil truly lie? LGBT plus people are victims of double standards and social hypocrisy. The LGBT plus movement advocates for equal rights, legal recognition, and social acceptance. Cisgender people, which refers to people whose gender aligns with the sex assigned to them at birth, is not necessarily and naturally heterosexual, because factors other than the sex, male or female, confirmed at birth, factors that neither science nor psychology can explain, shape and define sexual orientations based on a person's innate sensitivity to the masculine or feminine energy, etc. When science and society come to realize that life on Earth takes on many forms, depending on the evolution of human beings, so much repression and suffering of quote-unquote different children and adults will be avoided. Heterosexual and LGBT plus people are seeking the same thing: to live in harmony, to love, and to be loved. This relentless persecution of LGBT plus people is incoherent and unjust. It is an open, almost invisible war that divides and causes suffering to millions of people. Religious and moral roots belong to an ignorant and cruel past. Gender norms and patriarchy, which uphold strict traditional gender roles and view gay men as a threat to the patriarchal order, will fade away as the consciousness of new generations evolves. The fact that millions of people who openly identify as heterosexual lead double lives to hide their actual sexual orientation should be enough to make us realize that sexuality is universal, and that the existential error of those whose minds have been indoctrinated with anti-LGBT views will fade away as people's consciousnesses evolve. From my deep feeling, I urge the LGBT plus community to stop demanding their freedom through strident provocation, as this conveys an image that runs counter to the united and harmonious humanity we all desire. The LGBT plus community has nothing left to prove now. It simply needs to live freely and in peace. Be tolerant toward those with misguided views. The consciousness of the new generations will guide all of humanity toward unity without borders, and without discrimination or marginalization of any kind. Stay calm, and the storm of liberated consciousness will rise more quickly. The greatest mistake our societies make is expecting everyone to function and think in the same way. Nature is unpredictable and expresses itself in 1,000 forms, just like water which, in the infinite union of its millions of drops, creates the rivers that flow down from the mountains. An example of flexibility, unity, and harmonious transformation to fulfill its destiny, the sea, to be reborn anew through the evaporation of lived experiences. Human beliefs do the opposite. They divide people, when each person is a different and indispensable drop of water needed to create a fulfilled and united humanity that shares the same destiny as the planet, sailing through unknown space. Sexuality and non-sexuality are an option when they come naturally to each person. Cis heterosexuality may be the majority, but there are so many other sexual orientations and gender identities. Homosexuality, bisexuality, pansexuality, asexuality, intersexuality, transgender, non-binary, genderqueer people, etc. The single transcendental beingist rule is sufficient to maintain peace and harmony among all peoples and individuals. Do whatever you want, as long as it does not disturb or harm anyone in the universe, not even yourself. Nations are divided, and major wars are imminent, as the global social and economic situation is heading toward the end of the system as we know it. The working age population, which sustains countries' economic systems and funds pension payments, is steadily declining due to low birth rates. Life expectancy is rising and societies are aging. The viability of countries' economic systems is coming to an end. A new world is coming, and with it will disappear the divisions between cisgender heterosexuals and LGBT+ people, among others. From a deep and sincere respect in all areas, among the nations and individuals of the planet, will emerge a lasting universal union among all beings in this world, putting an end to so many wars and injustices. Personally, I have a greater respect for what I cannot understand, because the truth is ever-changing and mysterious. The pursuit of knowledge distances us from the present truth, which is constantly evolving. Only by feeling things can we understand, without needing to truly understand. We are Alain Tello Robledo, Beingist. Our original song, The New World is Here, link in the description. The manuscript, New World, coming very soon, link in the description. 8 books on transcendental knowledge and ancestral healing, link in the description. Dozens of free articles, posts, and audio videos on transcendental knowledge, link in the description. Beingist Foundation Project. Transcendental clinics and hospitals will have as their main mission to complement scientific medicine by tending to its limitations. Their goal will be to heal children and young people suffering from incurable diseases, etc. Link in the description.
So many wars, so much suffering, after so much injustice.
Free ancestral healing pre-treatment. If you suffer from anxiety, depression, autoimmune diseases, or cancer, I invite you to join our free pre-treatment program. Link in the description. Alain Tello Robledo's autobiography. Link in the description. Beingism, union between all beings. Link in the description. Author. We are Alain Tello Robledo, Beingist. Narrated by Chantal García. Thank you.
Freedom is within you.